There was a man by the name of Mahmoud who was desperate for a woman's companionship. Unfortunately for Mahmoud, he wasn't very wealthy, so he couldn't afford to get married. Mahmoud would spend his nights crying and praying to God, wishing for a wife. Well, Mahmoud didn't know that a woman was already living with him, and she was listening to his prayers. After living silently for years with Mahmoud, she finally decides to reveal herself to him. She then explains to him that she's willing to marry him and spend her life with him if he's willing to accept her. Mahmoud was a desperate man, so of course he agrees. But in fact, he was attracted to this woman. She looked so beautiful to him, even though he knew that that was not her real form. After being with each other for months, openly living with each other and being intimate, she grew strong feelings for Mahmoud. She felt love for him. She would even bring him hidden treasures. Mahmoud was now one of the wealthiest men in his village. So naturally, rumors and suspicion began to spread throughout the village. The villagers would ask questions about Mahmoud's new bride and about the wedding ceremony, like why haven't they witnessed it? Who is this new bride? Whose daughter is she? And how did Mahmoud become so wealthy overnight? Mahmoud would hear about these suspicions and these questions and become worried. What would the village think of him and his new bride? He felt that he needed a way out, that he needed to get rid of his wife and end this marriage. Mahmoud then attempts to kill his wife Sakura, but Sakura is a very powerful being. She was able to prevent him, yet she was wounded by his betrayal. She then decides to flee. Mahmoud then almost immediately gets married to a local woman by the name of Hadiya, a woman that he always wanted to get married to, and now that he's wealthy, he can. Sakura then hears about his recent matrimony, and she's not having any of it. Mahmoud and Hadiya are happy. He's the happiest he ever been in his life, and they're expecting a child. But Mahmoud's happiness was cut short from the sudden and mysterious death of his wife and his unborn baby. Mahmoud stands alone once again in his new home, surrounded by treasure, yet completely empty, wondering if Sakura is behind the death of his wife and his unborn child. Filled with misery and despair, Mahmoud vows to never get married again, while he moans for his wife and his unborn child's death. 53 years have passed, and Mahmoud hath kept his promise to himself, never getting married again, never having children, and he never used the treasure that was given to him by Sakura. Now old, lonely, and on his deathbed, and once again desperate for companionship, for intimacy in his last moments of life, Mahmoud screams Sakura's name as loud as he can. Sakura then appears, never have been very far from Mahmoud, always have been close to him, as her love for him was never fully diminished. Mahmoud then spent his last remaining days with Sakura, apologizing to her and expressing his regret for pushing her away. Mahmoud then says to her if he had known that his village would be plagued by disease, and that many of the villagers would leave and many would die, that he would never have done what he did to her. He would never have been worried about their suspicions and rumors and what they thought of him and his relationship with Sakura. Sakura then smiles and lays beside him to his final breath.